All right, Chris. We are going to call the meeting to order. If we can all stand with a moment of silence and a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I do want to mention that the board held an executive session this evening from 6 to 7 at the administrative building to discuss legal and personnel issues. We could move on to board member comments. Are there any this evening? Thank you. Public comments on the agenda. I believe that our standing room in the crowd did not sign up, right? Okay. We can now move to the approval of the minutes, and that would be that the board minutes from April 30th, 2015 work session and a legislative meeting, and the May 7th, 2015 legislative meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Solicitor's report, I assume?
Nothing for this
Thank
evening.
you. Superintendent's report.
I just have a few quick items. One, we had a fantastic school year, a lot of positive accolades and accomplishments for the North Hill School District. Please read the annual report that Amanda did such a great job on, and you can see a lot of those great things that occurred in the district. This is the end of my 13th year in the North Hill School District, and I've said to quite a few people that Friday night's commencement might have been one of the nicest commencements that I've seen in the 13 years I've been here. I don't think that the speeches that were given by those students, that there was another speech that was better than those. It was a beautiful evening. It was a great night, and the students were fantastic. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't get a chance to be there, it was a beautiful, beautiful night. And I wish the seniors the best of luck. And as Mr. Crowder always says, once an Indian, always an Indian, and that holds true. And if there's anything that this district can do for our seniors moving forward, they know that they have a home here. They can always contact us, and we will always, always, always support them in everything that they do. The last piece that I have this evening is one of the favorite things that I have, that the North Hill School District does, is the service awards. And I see a lot of our employees wear those service awards with pride, and those people that spent time with our district in 10-year, 15-year, 20, 25, 30, 35-year benchmarks get a service award. And this night, I'm proud to give our service award to a board member. Mr. Kelly, this is your 10th year serving on the North Hill School Board, and you receive your Indian head pin with its ruby in it to wear proudly.
It's pretty expensive. Don't put that thing on eBay or anything. That's right. They'll be plucking that ruby. That's exactly right. All right. That's it? Yep. Thank you. All right, we are now going to move on to a presentation by Mr. John Thomas of Thomas & Williamson to provide us an update on construction projects. You have the next minute, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Wilgus.
Yes, sir.
I probably am going to take a little bit longer tonight than normal because I've got a couple different issues to handle.
That's fine.
Let's look at the middle school project first on the HVAC and look at how we're doing there. First, we had targeted setting the chillers, finishing the cafeteria unit ventilator replacements, and again, this is all being done ahead of schedule because of the way the first end of the project had run. Doing the science rooms and some of the specialized spaces that were always targeted for the summer. And then moving ahead with doing the fit out for classrooms 202, 216, and 218. And as you know, we've inserted a flooring replacement project inside the HVAC project, and we had thought we would move ahead with the flooring demo there. So chillers are set. You can see them back there. I'll show you a picture later, but you start seeing the chillers in the pipe, and now you're really starting to see that you're doing something over there. Finishing the cafeteria UVs, they're very close to being complete. As a matter of fact, I think that the photographs in here will show they were very complete. I think they are complete now. Completing the sequence of renovations noted. And then the flooring demo, those of you who walked across the corridor tonight, you see what flooring demo looks like. There's just bare concrete. Okay, we did not get we had not completed all of the cafeterias. We had 6 of the 8 UVs. I think the other 2 were done. You got to understand this report is actually a week old because I thought it was going to be in last week. Began the renovations of 201 and the faculty room, and this was done ahead of schedule. So for next period, we're looking at completing 201, 202, 216, and 218. Doing the demolition and asbestos abatement. Renovations for the new equipment and casework will be moving through the first sequence. I'll show you that on the picture through the ground and first and second floors. Piping and electrical connections will be completed, and then we'll begin installing VCT. So when I'm in here next month, if you guys are around, I'll be showing you pictures of new flooring. Little recap of the overall project schedule. You can see we benefited substantially by Lucalia's work on the early short phases, and they've done just about all the work that was allocated for phase 3, and now they have a nice comfortable schedule ahead of them to complete that. These are the areas that remain to be done on the ground floor. The other areas are pretty far along, but these are actually our notes on the plan. We want to move through that area in the middle first, and then we'll move to the computer rooms down in the lower part, and I think those are art rooms over on the left-hand side. And there's some strategic connection with the floors above that 2 and 3 connect together. Those areas will all be done by the next time I come in, and then we'll gradually start working south and finishing out the remainder of the blue area. So we're in pretty good shape with the schedule. Little recap, the extremely esoteric, non-readable by board members view of the schedule in case any of you wish to indulge yourself. And the analytics, all good signs of our progress. Here's where I want to spend some time with you. And I'm going to jump back and forth a little bit. I have 2 change orders listed here, one for ratification and one for approval. And you can see the total impact of those change orders would render us with a contingency near the end of the project, but we would still have a contingency of $130,000, $170,000. And the reason I'm recommending these 2 change orders, let me skip ahead to here, $1,900, and this is listed under ratification, but I don't know if the administration got to this or not, so if it wasn't ratified, I'm going to ask that you approve it. This is to remove a couple swaths of vinyl tile flooring in the library. And the reason we need to do that is we're going to be putting landscaped furniture that is free-floating in the middle of the floor, not up against the wall, but we don't want to drop power poles down from the ceiling. So in order to do the power to this furniture, we're coming in from the tunnels below, and we have to route out the concrete some distance from that tunnel to get to the locations where the furniture is. So in order to dig up the concrete, we have to get the asbestos out of the way. So there's $1,900 in asbestos change orders to make that happen for the library project. This isn't necessary for the HVAC project, even though I'm recommending that you contract it in the HVAC contract. This is for the library.
The senior high.
The middle school library.
Okay.
Thanks for asking that question, Tim. Secondly, this is a change order to the electrical contractor for $93,144 to do the carpeting, the drywall, the ceiling, the lighting work, that he's actually bringing in a general contractor as a subcontractor to him, much like we did with the flooring. And this is not to do the HVAC project. This is to do the library middle school project. This is all that work. So you'll recall that I had budgeted approximately $200,000 for this work, and it's coming in at what, about $95,000. So just a little commentary on that. I just spoke with the administration about this. People think all the time that the public bidding process is our salvation for giving us the lowest numbers we can possibly get. It doesn't always work that way, because once you get the number, you're kind of stuck with it. Whereas if you're negotiating change orders, if you're not getting the amount that you want, you can just say no. And you can have some back and forth. You can't have back and forth with a public bidding process. So we've seen some benefits, and I can't promise that this will happen all the time, but we have seen some benefits through negotiating change orders to get work done in this building that wasn't necessarily contemplated in the HVAC project. But nevertheless, the contractors are willing to participate with us and do this work, and you can see how you've benefited by coming in under our budget on this side of the driveway for the libraries.
Mr. Thomas, I'm not sure this is a question to you or, I don't know, Dr. Manarino. I'm going to play dumb. I'm unaware of any project in the middle school library. I must have missed something, or I'm in the dark. I'm not.
Jeff, do you want to go ahead and talk about the big picture of both libraries and how they fit into each other?
The board approved, was it about a year ago, Dave? $1 million to be used in the middle school and senior high school library projects to renovate both libraries.
So it's part, okay. Thank you.
The reason
And you'll see.
you're
the
not
mid-
playing stupid,
Yeah.
it was the night that you were signed up onto the board, to be on the board again, that we were whipping the speedball by everybody in the presentation over at Beatty. So that would have been the first time that you would have heard about it, so I can understand.
Well, if I may, I was there. But my confusion is, if I understand you correctly, we're talking about change orders, additional costs to have air conditioning in the middle school library.
No. We're
Okay,
talking
go ahead.
about outfitting your middle school library to be a contemporary library, doing new furniture, doing new lighting,
But didn't
new
you
power.
refer to HVAC and things of that nature?
This is in the HVAC project. And
Oh,
there-
I got you. Okay, all right, all right.
Sub-project.
We're doing it as a change.
Like the tile, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Please ask me these questions, because
Oh, yeah.
I want you to be clear on what I'm doing, because this is it's a little odd, but it, if
What
somebody.
shell is the P under? I got it.
Yeah, if somebody would have said, why are you doing all this vinyl tile to do HVAC in the middle school?
Okay.
I would have said, really not.
Sorry, I
It just
remember
kind of worked
now.
out that way.
Thank you.
It's just this end of the table, John. You're okay. The other end's fine.
Is everybody else good so far, before I go further, because it might get a little bit more confusing?
If I'm reading this right, it looks like we're saving money by rolling these projects together.
I
So-
think you are. I think you're saving money because we were able, and because the contractors were willing, and because we could have some back and forth with the contractors to negotiate these change orders to get this work in place. And let's face it, if they would have said, as they've said in the past, they've said, oh, no, we want way too much money, we found alternative ways of bringing other people in under other contractors to make it work out for a fair price.
So Dr. Nolish has just redeemed this end of the table.
Anybody else? Well, just on these change orders, these are just to bring the middle school library improvements into the HVAC project. Okay. So let me get back to the middle school HVAC project, and then we'll move on to the high school. So this is where they're extending the mounting brackets for the chillers. And you'll recall that we had an alternate bid to put the chillers further back over the hill, and that alternate bid was misunderstood, so we didn't place it. We knew that we could do better by negotiating with the contractor as a change order. We brought it in, and the piping gets run along the walls, goes down underground, and then goes back to the back of the building. The reason we did this is these can be very noisy. We didn't want them being in the alcove inside the building, reverberating off the walls. So you ended up with a really good product. The wood blocking is just stacking up the pipes so that they can be connected. This is your cooling source for all the air conditioning. And I think you can just tell by the ominous appearance of the chillers, you wouldn't want those that close to the school. Okay, this is a few of the old style unit ventilators that are being replaced. This is one of our typical processes that I've been showing you over the last 9 months or so. And that's it for the middle school project, middle school HVAC project. Now let's talk, yes, Mr. Nudi.
I'm just looking at the chiller piping. Is that going to be painted?
It'll be covered with a insulation
Okay.
and a polyethylene jacket.
Will the color?
Most likely, no. It will
won't-
not
It
match.
won't be blend in with the building itself.
No.
Can't do that.
We could attempt to paint the polyethylene and any metal components of it, but I think you're probably going to be better off not waiting for your paint to fade.
All right, thank you.
Would you like to see a price for us to get it to blend in with the brick surroundings? I can get that for you.
He wants one red pipe and one white pipe.
And connect the two.
It is in the back of the building, back in the utility area.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it's not
just
like
in
you
the
can
back
see
of
it
the
from the
building.
out.
Yeah, it's not beautiful back there. It's
Right.
beside dumpsters. and-
How visible will it be from the outdoor amphitheater? If you're standing, you know, where they have the concerts, the Rock the Hilltop and those other things, sometimes they do have gatherings and things back there.
Is that back by the deck?
That's on the other end of the building, I believe, John.
Other end, okay.
I don't think
so-
you'll see it at all.
Okay, so I mean, that would be my question, because if you are, you know, we invested to give that space for our students and faculty to use. Let's make sure that we're keeping that a nice space.
Right.
Let's just take a quick look. We are back behind the cafeteria.
Okay. Because if it is visible, then we might want to consider what it would take to make it be just a little more pleasing, that environment.
I don't think that's visible from
Okay,
there.
if it's not, then
But I haven't looked at it from that angle, so I can't tell you definitively.
maybe
Yes, sir.
just check it out and see what,
I was just wondering from this picture, is that piping going underground and then coming?
goes
back-
underground, yes.
Back up?
There's a trench that goes under the driveway. That was the biggest part of the negotiation, by the way. When they bid
Okay,
it,
I think I
they
did.
didn't know how they were going under the road. So we had to
Yeah, it
develop
looks like
something different than what
down
the
here.
engineer was showing to make that work.
I wasn't sure where it come up.
Yeah, you're going across the road.
And then just a question, I wasn't sure from this Gantt chart, what it had, looks like it had the completion date, the beginning of school. Mm-hmm. Is that, when do you anticipate this all to be done now?
Oh, easily before the end of school.
Well,
I'm sorry, easily before the beginning of school, before the end of summer.
maybe
Yeah.
in July.
Sorry about that. No, it's, if you look at this chart here, this is the
That
one
one.
that really kind of shows you how well you did. You had this much time to do that work. And since these all finished early, you were able to pull this back. So you had the opportunity to do all of the spaces that were free to be done before the end of school was over. The only rooms we didn't do were the ones that are specialized rooms that we would have been displacing educational program if we went in and did them.
So even though those are a smaller quantity, they'll probably stretch out for the summer?
Oh, they will, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the concept of entropy, that nature abhors a vacuum. It'll spread out to fill that in, I'm sure.
I mean, like, if you have room, you'll always fill it up. If you have spare
Correct.
room in your house, you'll fill it up.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, let's talk now about the bids we received for the high school library project. We were not quite as so fortunate with the numbers we received for the bids as we were for the change orders. But nevertheless, when you look at them in the big picture, I think there's still a compelling reason to move ahead with it, and I'll explain that to you. So I will be asking that you approve contracts with DeMarco with a base bid of $553,200. Those of you who have been on the board for a while, you'll remember DeMarco did McIntyre and Highcliffe. very good contractor. We're privileged to have him on this list. We're also recommending that we do alternate GCO1, which is to add the HVAC work to the general contract, because we had no HVAC bidders. We knew we weren't going to get any. It was too small of a project for them to come in. But because they no longer have the mandate waiver program, we still have to put it out there as if we're bidding it, and if we don't get any bidders, we'll run it through the general contractor. Alternate GC2 then is to add the fire protection likewise to the project for $33,800 for a total award of $643. We have a second contract for electrical, and this would be to Union Electric with a base bid of $204,950. We'd be deducting $200 for a daylight harvesting option that we had if we were going to do the skylights. We're not going to do the skylights, so we have to take these sensors out. And then also add in ECO3, which is a different kind of direct indirect lighting fixture that it won't quite give us the same great effect as the skylights, but nevertheless, it'll give us more lighting in an architectural area of the library with a higher structural ceiling. And we wanted to spend the additional $3,000 there to make the library look better. That would result in a total contract award of $207,750 and a total award for all contracts of $850,750. Now let me show you how this washes out with the budget. So when we started out, we thought we had a budget of $1 million to do the library construction work, hard and soft, total project costs. So with our bids coming in at this 945 number, wait a minute. Oh, sorry. With the bids coming in at 850, 750, plus the cost of the change orders that we're including over on this project. You just heard me tell you that I'm going to take the money out of the middle school contingency and spend it on another kind of project, the library project. But at the same time, I'm showing you the comparison in this budget so that you realize that I am asking you to spend more than $1 million. This is how I have to show this to you. So when I add the 95,044 to the sum of the bids that we have for the high school, it results in a total contract award of $945,794 as compared to the $908,500 that we had in the budget for hard costs. So we are seeing a number that's $37,000 over what the budget would have included. Bear in mind, you are spending money out of the middle school project that is not in the $1 million. So you're spending $95,000 for the middle school library repairs that is not in the $1 million budget here. Everybody clear?
Yep.
Sorry it's so complicated, but the way we're doing it, I think it does work for you. So I think where the lion's share of the cost overrun is in this project is, and it's an overrun of $243,255. The lion's share of the overrun is in the soft cost, because we had a budget of fees for $91,000. We're paying $163,000. We had miscellaneous soft costs of zero. And there's a sizable amount of soft costs for moving. There's $65,000 for moving both libraries. So when you add all the rest of the contingencies in, it takes you down to the bottom line. It's not $1 million. It's $1,243,255, which means it's an overrun of $243,255. Noting that you are subsidizing part of the library project from the HVAC project. Everybody clear on that? I'll also note that you still do have remaining contingency in the middle school project. You still have a significant underrun from your bids on the middle school HVAC project. And I think Dr. Taylor was very successful in the work that he's doing to get your furniture for these projects in, I think, under budget, significantly under budget. So I think when you put all those numbers together, all those budgets together, even though this is not accounting the way Dave Hall would do it, this is the way an engineer does it, I think there's money there to spend to do these projects. So I'm asking that you award these bids and approve the change orders. Any other questions on budget? I just have one more thing I want to cover with you. Okay. And, I think a lot of people look at spending hundreds of thousands, $1 million over a summer period, and they get a little squeamish, and they say, can we really get that done? And I think if you reflect back on the HVAC project and see how we did millions of, many more millions of dollars doing the HVAC than we're talking about doing on the library, and things moved pretty well. It all begins with having a plan that can be executed within a reasonable amount of time. And I think we have a reasonable amount of time, particularly now that we're not talking about putting the skylights in. That would have added a lot of extra work for us. So just to give you a feel for how this work will move. We have receiving bids today. We'll spend about a week preparing the contracts and executing the contracts. It takes that long for the contractors to get their bonds and insurance in. And then we'll have a start date next week. The first thing will happen is demolition. All those partitions that you know in the high school library will disappear. It'll be one big giant open space with the exception of Sandy's office over in the corner. The next thing that'll happen is we'll do the framing, the electrical rough-in, and the drywall. That'll take us out to the end of July. Then, even though I'm showing skylights on this plan, they won't be there. That'll just be the raised structural ceiling area. We'll do the painting, ceiling, and lighting work. That'll happen by the second week of August. Final finishes will go in with the carpeting, and you can see we're just ahead of the first day of school on 8/24. Now, we recognize that the furniture has to come in as well. So the chances that you are up and running with all furniture in place and all circuits checked out for all your technology, I would say is slim. On the first day of school, I don't think you're going to have all your furniture and systems all finalized, but you're going to be close. It's not like you're going to be lingering on well into the school year with getting all your furnishings put in. So I'm comfortable that we have enough time to get this done. If you've looked at how we've done the other renovation projects in the district over the years, in general, you can do about $3-4 million worth of renovations per school site over a summer quite easily. We've done as much as $10 or $11 million in that same period. So this isn't like we're mobilizing for Desert Storm to get this work done. It's a big area. There's not a lot of carpentry. It's really just a matter of coordinating and making sure we don't have contractors stepping over each other. I frankly feel very comfortable with Phil DeMarco doing this work with us. He did a project with us last summer at Carlinton that was a lot more aggressive than this, and he finished on time. And he's a man of his word, and I think he'll do good for you. So that's all I have, and I'll take any other questions.
Everybody all right?
Do we have any contingency plan if the furniture is delayed?
I don't.
The library
What's going to
could-
happen if the furniture's delayed or something?
In speaking with the furniture vendors, I don't think that's going to be a problem. However, obviously, it's always a possibility. But typically, the library is not very active the first couple weeks of school.
Okay. Is this furniture like an inventory item, or is this custom, or?
Circulation desks are custom, but the other ones are just, you know, your shelving units and different things, chairs, tables.
Okay.
Have they provided samples of those? Can we see those? Do we
You
have
could
them?
sit
Just
in
do
them in Jeff's
photos.
office.
What's that?
There are, not everything, but there have been a lot over the last 6 months in my office, actually. They just left about a week ago, finally. So we've sat on them, we've seen the tables, we've seen chairs. They're all back at the vendor, though, but I do have photos if you want to see anything.
Yeah, if you could send them, I guess, to all of us, I would.
Yeah.
I think that
Might
would-
as well send it to everybody.
Sure.
The shelving too? Okay, yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hearing nothing, I just want to add on a personal note that I was in the commencement Friday night as well. Great job.
Yeah.
Great job. I think that was the best commencement speech that I have from young Mr. Petmeyer. That was the best, most entertaining commencement speech that I ever heard, except for maybe when George Bush said you can get C's and become president. Anything else, folks?
I said, thank you, John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now that you've taken up the entire time allotted for this meeting, I'm going to entertain one motion and get everything approved at once. How about that? Anyway, we're going to move down to case support services while Mr. Thomas is here and take care of that with Mr. Nudi first.
The first item on the support services agenda is award of bids for the high school library project. I'd like to have a motion to award the bids for the library project. Is there
Is it second? Okay.
any discussion?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then you guys, I'll just move down to 3.
There are, let's see,
Middle school change orders.
items to approve the change orders for the middle school construction and award the bids for the combi ovens and steam generators and the milk and beverage bids. Superintendent recommends, and I so move, the board approve support services items 3 through 5.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
John.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you.
Great presentation, thank you. Okay, we could now move on, let me just get back to the other. Let's see. Oh, okay, we're going to move on to education, and I'm going to ask, who can I ask to do that? Mr. Mule, would you mind doing education? Is that okay with you?
Sure, you caught me
Okay, did I get you in the
by
wrong time?
surprise.
I'm sorry, I forgot Mrs. Bennett was not here.
We have 5 items on the agenda: 2015 to 2016 textbook adoptions. Number 2, 2015 to 2016 online academy at North Hills pricing structures. Item 3, 2015 to 2016 waterfront learning contract. Item 4, middle school student parent handbooks, 2015 to 2016. Number 5, senior high student and parent alternative ed handbooks for 2015-16. Are there any questions or comments on that? I have a comment.
Okay,
Ms. Rieger, I will be voting no on the items 4 and item 5. And that's based on the, as I discussed last week, which I feel are pretty loose standards for the participation, eligibility for participation in extracurricular activities. And I know it was discussed that these are the PIAA standards, you're not eligible if you're failing 4 classes, and I think, we discussed or emailed, when we talk about the Common Core standards, we say these are the bare minimum. We want to be better than that. And I think it's the same case applies here. I think our students are capable. And if you're failing 3 courses, should you really be participating? What's the best for the students? And basically, this is a bar that's set so low that it's still on the ground. So I'll be voting no, and hopefully we'll get those changed in the future. Any other comments?
Dr. Manarino, did we remove the lacrosse from the middle school as, I think, Mr.
Did you,
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
in regard to Mr. Muhite, this has been worked on for quite some time, setting the bar for the extracurricular activities. And years back, they didn't even get report cards sometimes till late, depending upon, because of the grades. They'd hold off report cards. I mean, this has come a long way, and these are extracurricular, and I truly believe every child, average or whatever, has the opportunity to participate.
Is there any other discussion?
I feel like, on that same topic, that our athletic director and our principals have done a good job to this point of working with students that are having difficulty. So I did, talk to some of the administrators in charge of those areas after you brought that up last week, and I feel like they are taking responsibility and working with the students and trying to, that can be a motivating factor for a student to make sure that they are able to play and to be able to do that. So, I look forward to discussing it more as a policy, but I do think for right now, it seems to be working. We have very few students that are in that situation, so I guess I'm comfortable with it.
Well, I
until
guess
it's
I
proven
would comment,
otherwise.
with 4 failing grades, I sure hope we have full,
I mean,
very
I
few
don't think
students.
it happens. I guess what I'm saying is that I think,
Right.
And I should hope not.
I think we catch the students before it gets to that
Right.
point.
But
So that's
what
why
I'm
not
saying,
as-
and I know Dr. Dietrich talked about his intervention and what he does, and that's great, but if he does this and someone's still failing 3 courses, they are eligible for extracurricular activities. And is that really in the best interest of the student, especially in middle school? I mean, you're setting the foundation for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, point well taken. All in favor?
Aye.
I didn't
Opposed?
recommend.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The superintendent recommends, and I so move, that the board approve education items 1 through 5, and you have my
Gotcha.
yes on the others.
Okay. We've had our discussion, need a second.
Second.
Okay. Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll make note of Mr. Muha's vote.
Thank you.
Okay, we could, looks like there's nothing under technology, athletics, or Beatty, unless anybody has any comments about those before we move on, okay?
No.
We will move on to personnel, that would be Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Wilgus. As we know, personnel items are discussed in executive session. Therefore, the superintendent recommends, and I so move, that the board approve personnel items 1 through 11.
Is there,
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In addition, if I may, Mr. Wilgus, we would like to offer our congratulations to Jill Wesley Williams on her retirement as a social worker with the district after 39 years of service. And congratulations to Martha Fagan on her retirement as a paraprofessional at the high school after 7 years. Last but not least, it is my extreme pleasure to announce this evening on behalf of the board that the board has appointed Mr. William McGahee to the position of principal at Ross Elementary. Prior to this, Mr. McGahee has served as high school English teacher, which makes him par excellence, a junior high school assistant principal, and most recently, the high school assistant principal for the last 5 years. So congratulations again, Mr. McGahee.
Thank you. Bill, and I was told about the possibility in this happening, and obviously I'm glad that you took the opportunity. I look at it, I think you're in a very unique position, having been in the high school and up on the hilltop. I think, from my perspective, I think it's just a great move because you know what these students are going to be in store for when they get up here. And I think you could, whatever you do, could instill that kind of culture in them to prepare them for the hilltop, because those are really they're all important years, but, when you get up here, it starts to get pretty serious. And I think that's, so I'm just so, I'm so really pleased and happy that you've accepted and taken the position. That's just great. I know Marilyn Kane's a very difficult person to work for, so I'm kidding, obviously. So, okay, congratulations. That's wonderful, good news. Thank you. Okay. I guess we can move on to policy, and that would be Mrs.
Okay.
Reed.
Tonight is the second reading and adoption of policy number 837, suicide awareness, prevention, and response. It's a second reading and adoption, as I so said. Back in 2014, Act 71 required that each school district adopt a policy regarding suicide awareness, prevention, and response, and this is our policy that was adopted and prepared by Dr. Taylor. I make, superintendent recommends, and I so move that the board approve policy item 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Reed. Mike, it doesn't look like there's anything under, unless you have something you, thank you.
Real quick, Mr. Stuman did contact Mr. Hall yesterday,
Oh,
Dave,
good.
2 days ago. You had the opportunity to have a conversation with him, and can you just kind of explain what that was about and what he needs in order to finalize that information for us?
It actually was just a brief conversation with him, and the only thing he requested from me was that I give him demographic data by neighborhood, by grade, for both the current year and 2010. And so I faxed that information off to him. He seemed positive that he would be able to get the information done for us in a reasonably timely manner. So he's moving along.
Good. Great. Okay, we can move on to finance. Looks like you have a few things there, Mr. Burnett. Have at it.
Thank you, Mr. Wogus. The first one is the general fund bills, the construction fund bills, capital fund bills, budget transfers, the payroll for the month of May 2015, general insurance approval, workers' compensation insurance approval. In 2015-2016, consumable supplies, arts, athletics, janitorial, medical paper, physical education, science and technology ed. The facility use fee schedule, authorization of a blanket budget transfer subsequent to June 30th, 2015. An informational item is the summary statement of revenues and the expenditures at the, as of May 15th, 2015. And another informational item is revenue summary for 2014-2015 as of May 2015, unaudited. The superintendent recommends, and I so move, that the board approve the finance items 1 through 10.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. Wogus, I will be abstaining from number 7, workers' compensation insurance approval.
Ready? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Burnett. We did the support services, and now we're down to the, before any additional public comments, I don't know if anybody signed up, Laura, but.
I did not see anyone sign up.
But that's okay, they certainly have the right to do it. I want to just go back to, after we obviously appointed Mr. McGahey this evening, I think it's a testament of this district with the talent level and talent pool that we have in the district, that, you know, we lost a great high school principal in Mr. Kreider's, no question. I think everybody agrees with that. But just by virtue of the fact, the kind of talent that we have in Mr. McGahey and the people, that we really didn't skip a beat here. We made some pretty major moves in three buildings, I guess, right? Yeah, so, and that all came from within. So I think that's something that we should take some great pride in, that we have people ready to step in if we do happen to lose a great employee like we did. But that being said, I just think it's a testament to the district. So
It also shows that we have a good mentoring system.
Absolutely,
within,
yeah.
that we believe enough strongly in the people, their predecessors, but the people that are filling those positions.
Absolutely, yeah, so it worked out well. Any additional public comments? Anybody have any comments public? Great. That being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.